Hello and a warm welcome to everyone. Today's special webinar on closing with confidence and how disclosure management can unlock reporting efficiency. We are conducting this webinar today in partnership with E&Y. By the way, my name is Shobhan and I'm going to be your host for the day. It is my pleasure to welcome on board how disclosure management can unlock reporting efficiency. It's one of the most talked about topics in the financial world. The closure period is much dreaded given the amount of volume of work the finance teams handle at that point of time, chasing deadlines, reconciling books, navigating risks, and yet striving to close on time. Gregorio and Mauro from E&Y, who has a wealth of experience in financial accounting and advisory services, and Akanksha, who would be a product specialist from Iris Carbon for the show today. Dear speakers, welcome to the show. Post our introduction, I would want to hand it over to Mauro for a quick introduction about EY, followed by Iris Carbon. Over to you.
Thanks, Soban. Let's start giving an overview of EY organization. As you probably already know, EY is a global performer with a wide and large organization that can offer to our clients a comprehensive services. Me and my colleague Mauro are part of the assurance team, and in particular, we belong to FAAS sub-service line. FAAS sub-service line stands for Financial Accounting Advisory Services, and let's say our goal is to provide support to CFO and finance team members in order to analyze their process, capturing pain points, and giving suggestions to improve them and overcome these kind of pain points, adopting or best practice or advanced technology IT solution. Finally, as you can see, the sub-service line FAS is again split in different areas. Today, we will focus on the financial statement closing process with the aim to give you an overview of the typical pain points that finance team can face during a close-end process, and we will also give you some solution in terms of speed and efficiency.
Wonderful. Akanksha, would you like to give a quick introduction about Iris Carbon?
Absolutely. So let me take over about who we are as Iris Carbon. We are a SaaS company focused on empowering the office of the CFO. Over 6,000 customers across 54 countries trust us to simplify compliance and reporting. And of course, we've been in this space for more than 20 years now. So, when you work with us, you're working with an Indian company that has a very, very strong global footprint. And again, as Iris Carbon, we are mandate agnostic, which means we support a wide range of global reporting requirements across jurisdictions, across industries, and across frameworks as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more. I think you will be hearing a little more from me in the upcoming slides anyways. We'll talk a little bit more about what we do in the CFO's office space. We'll talk a little bit about the disclosure management and the ESG platforms as well that we have. And then, of course, we'll take it forward from it. So,
thanks, Akasha. Let's start with the first part of our webinar, and that is regarding to the focus on financial closing processes. As you can see, as you know better, the closing process is very complex and articulated process that can be split in three different parts. The first part is the time to close. Time to close is the closing process for a single legal entity. So here there are the main activities that has to be performed, like the transactions recorded on the accounting system, the preparation of the trial balance and the local reporting, internal checks before submission, and so on. Then the second part is time to consolidate. Here instead we have all activities regarding consolidation, such as collecting information of local trial balance of subsidiaries or other information that has to be consolidated, the intercompany reconciliation, and of course the preparation of the consolidated financial statement. Finally, the third step that we can, use in order to explain the closing process is the time report. Here we have the final step of the closing process, in which a single company and or groups have to prepare in order to answer to the internal and external requirements. Today's session later with the Iris Carbon team, we will also see how Iris Carbon software, that is an advanced tool, can help in this kind of reporting. As you already know, financial closing process is a complex process that involves different teams and actors. It is important to act in 4 different directions. One is methods, so we need to have homogeneous accounting treatments, shared deadlines, local requirements, because again, I said it again, financial closing process is related to all companies or let's say stakeholders in the organization, the firms. It is also important to analyze systems that are used in the closing processes. Again, the formalization and the standardization of processes in order to have a unique and uniform process. And finally, organization with clear and shared roles and responsibility in order to manage the closing in the best way.
Thanks, Gregorio. At this point, we'll take a quick pause and it's a quick poll coming up for all our audience. It's right up on your screen. What do you think is the average closing time of annual economic and financial data? Your options, you have 4 options on the screen: by the 40th day, 60th day, 90th day, or over 100 days. Feel free to use the options on the screen to vote. And yes, we have the results on screen. So a lot of people, about 67% have voted for 60th day. That's about 2 months of time for their financial closer. Gregorio, what do you have to say about that? It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Is let's say the typical benchmark. As you can see in the next slide, the typical benchmark when firms call us in order to, let's say, improve their processes. In fact, here there is an example. I mean, in yellow is represented the benchmark of firms when, let's say, they call us in order to improve the financial closing process. Instead, in the black label, you can see the requirement that is, let's say, in order to be compliant with Italian law. And usually clients, firms call us in order to reduce or for internal propose or due to IPO, I mean initial public offering, and ask us to, let's say, to adopt technology or processes in order to, let's say, to be fast and to adopt a fast and smart closing solution, and then to reduce the timing of closing. So you can see in the blue label the final results when firms adopt our, let's say, technology or best. Okay, now we have just talked about timing. Now speak about the typical pain points that finance team usually encounter during the closing process. For example, in time to close, we have account reviews that typically are not shared. So people doesn't know where, let's say, to record local registration and balances, ERP that are out of date, lack of communication with departments and actors involved in the closing process, and a lot of manual activities that have, let's say, with no value-added activities. Instead, looking at the time to consolidate, one of the common pain points is the missing of a tool, let's say the GPM tool, that can, let's say, help the consolidation process. Again, not clear and shared deadlines and processes among functions. And finally, another, let's say, typical pain points that are the intercompany reconciliation that ask always a lot of time in order to be performed. Finally, in the last step of the closing process, in the time to report, is missing, let's say, usually standard reporting, and moreover is not integrated with the CPM or the ERP. So again, it is required to perform a lot of manual activities in order to, let's say, perform the reporting process. Excessive use of Excel sheets, again, because there is no integration with CPM and ERP. And instead, in this webinar, thanks to the Iris Carbon team, we will see a software that can help and let's say, to help and can be more. I think we can move to the next slide. Perfect. Now we'll talk about pain points, but also what can be the quick win solutions that firms can adopt in order to overcome the previous pain points. In this slide, there are a lot of suggestions. I'm not going to read every one of these, but let me, highlight the main ones. For example, in time to close, one quick win that is possible to adopt is to redesign the chart of accounts. Moreover, this is very important in consideration of the new IFRS 18, that has, released recently. Adopt an accounting manual within the group because, as already said, in the financial closing process, there is a lot of factors that are involved, so it's important that there is something shared within all the actors. And another important thing that it can be do is then the three-way match approach, in order to have, all the information from orders, receipt, and invoice. Instead, if we go to the time to consolidate, the one thing that can be done is the push-down accounting mapping. Is to give to the local team more activities, and so then responsibility, accountability, and also commitment to perform such as much as possible activities to the locals, and not, having all the activities in the headquarters. Automatic intercompany reconciliation flow. And finally, integrated in the consolidation tool in the CPM, also the disclosure notes, without fill manually it. Instead, in the time report, one solution is to standardize the reporting book, avoiding different versions and also answering to internal requirement and external requirement. Avoid the use of Excel spreadsheet. And finally, connect as much as possible the different tools, avoid the manual work, as already said. In this webinar, in fact, Iris will, propose a solution in order to, have this kind of processes completely automated. I think we can move just to the final slide of the first part. So this is, again, some solution example for time to close. So ERP improvements. For example, there are a lot of our clients that use ERP that are out of data, or using RPAs or robotic process optimization process, or share and elaborate a closing calendar common, or an accounting manual, or if we look to the time to consolidate, the implementation of a corporate performance for the consolidation process. And finally, for the time to report, it can be adopt BI technology, or automatic compilation of disclosure management and ESG reporting, or again something else that some other tools to process the internal reporting. In this webinar, the focus, as already said, is Iris Carbon, that can cover all the disclosure management platform and also the internal reporting. So this is the final, slide for the part of the general, closing process with the pain points and solution to overcome them. Then I leave the speech to Mauro.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gregorio. Good morning, everyone. And I will try to be fast in order to allow Iris colleague to show the system. So we can start to the last phase of the closing process, and I'm pleased to focus to this phase because I think is more important, and in the last year is increased the strategic of this phase. This why, because in the last years the time to report phase becomes very critical and strategic for all organizations. Because a lot of business factors impact the work finance function. In this specific case, we will see which business factors accelerate the need to of introduce a performing disclosure management, like Iris Carbon. Iris Carbon, which enable cross-contamination between digital and compliance topic. For time to report expected. In the recent years, the company received a strong pressure for transparency and speed in reporting, and this is due to several factors. First of all, a factor relating to the access to the capital market. that require very short and challenge time to report in order to give all information and all financial information and non-financial information data to the market, to stakeholder, and also to the analyst. But this is very important also for the private market companies, because often they need to give a lot of insight, a lot of information, a lot of data to their investors, and for sure to the banks. Another point is speaking about the not financial data that we have to consider is that there are an increasing number of rules related to the ESG disclosure. For example, the new ESG reporting regulation, such as CSRD or SEC regulation, update the disclosure more frequently and comprehensively. Considering the digital evolution point, we have to talk about, we cannot miss to speak about the transition to the cloud-based ERP. This is a very important point because this system often don't cover the final stage of reporting relating to disclosure, especially consider the group disclosure. So having a good disclosure management tool integrated on the financial statement and also to the annual report. So this is an instrument, a tool that can give different function, the power to manage all change and all activity. Sometimes, for sure, another point, another important point is related to that the expansion in the market coincides with the IPO process that increases significantly the complexity of work for the financial function in every phase of the process, adding requirement that the regulator can ask to produce to the company in specific and different formats. We can think about, for example, to the ESEF for the public interest company that require a complex data tagging system and a complex flow in order to give all information in the correct format and with the correct timing to market for the analyst. Okay, so we can move to the next slide, please. So in the context described before, related to an integrated disclosure management, this tool could help to the company in we can say in the last mile activity, facing and resolving several gaps which can complicate the process. For example, first of all, linking to the previous slide, the requirement of managing integrated disclosure, financial and not financial, and ESEF using different tool a lot of time cannot be very efficient because the tools are not integrated and information and data are not correctly updated and integrated in each other. Considering the information and the data, often this information, this data are reported in different sections and different paragraphs of the document and updated in a manual way for multiple source and multiple owner, multiple level. And you can understand how this task have a high risk of manual error because, for example, I can forget to update one table in one paragraph, some number in another paragraph, or information in some section that have different number, different combination. So this is a higher risk because a lot of time we see the annual financial report with number and data that are not aligned with the last modification in all document. So another point is related to the interaction between the different functions that work on this document, because a lot of time finance and SG department is a lack of communication when they draft a document, but also internally at the financial level, when in a company there is a very complex level of work, there is a lot of contributors. This create a lot of risk of error to update, to don't have a data that speak each other. Another point is related to the output that is often unstructured and difficult to reuse or verify, and also to integrate it too, because you have to think about to a document that will be reviewed internally from different function and other, as told before, but also externally. For example, from audit side, an unstructured document not worked in a system that is integrated is very difficult to integrate and modify and update. So this is a very interesting and very risky point to see. The last point that I have to speak about is that to address this challenge and gap or issues, the solution, for our opinion, and this is the reason why we are working and we are having this webinar with Iris Carbon, is to adopt an integrated platform that can connect all data from all sources and all owners of the process in a single view, giving a coverage of every compliance requirement. This will enable digital transformation and evolution in reporting process, increasing the transparency and the speed, and also the quality of the data for the final risk related to this phase and the last mile phase. Thank you.
Thanks, Mauro. Those are very insightful. So before moving over to the next half of our webinar, we'll take a quick moment to launch a poll and gather some thoughts from our audience who have joined us here today. And there you go, the poll's up on your screens. Feel free to use the options and engage. Where do you think you find yourself spending the most time during the closure period? Okay, we'll quickly end the poll here and move on. We see that our audience thinks that in the reporting process is where a lot of people end up spending the majority of their time on. So speakers, Gregorio, Mauro, what do you think? What do you have to say about that?
I would say great, because let's say the problem that we are going to answer. So very good, these questions.
Wonderful. With that, I would now pass it over to Akanksha, who's going to be talking about how to eliminate the closure challenges that the finance teams around the world have been facing for a very long time. Akanksha, over to you.
Thanks, Shobhan. So yes, everyone, I think like Gregorio and Mauro touched upon some time back, they spoke about the problems that a financial reporting process generally that all of us face during the financial reporting process, be it data being scattered. Like Mauro pointed out a couple of minutes back, we don't really know which data who's referring to, because hey, there is no single source of truth that one version that multiple teams are working on, because every team is working in their own workspace. Some people are working, maybe pulling off data from the ERPs, working in their own financials, like maybe the finance folks, how they work, right? Some of them, like the legal and compliance team, might be in a completely different platform, might be completely working based out of Word, and so on and so forth. So these are very manual and fragmented ways of working. And of course, Mauro also specified the fact that, hey, listen, different people tend to use different software for the complementary processes that are within one financial reporting process as well, right? So because of all of these problems, what is the universal truth that we kind of see? The universal truth is that data is living in spreadsheets, being pulled from maybe an ERP, then your narratives are sitting in your Word, then your reviews are probably happening completely somewhere else, maybe on emails, and designers probably are operating out of some other software completely. So every data that every person in the financial reporting process is responsible for and works onto is completely disconnected. And finally, when it comes to your version, God knows where the versions are, right? We're always scrambling the last minute to try and tie all the different versions together, sent across from various teams. So what are the two biggest issues that we are facing here are, again, inconsistency in data. When the data is inconsistent, we all know what are the problems that we are going to go through. One is we're going to catch the attention of the regulator, we're going to catch the attention of the investor, which would not throw our company in the right light, right? And of course, another big issue is something which is very intangible, but it is the amount of efforts that all of us combined in a finance team or in a compliance team that generally put in for duplicating the amount of work we've done earlier, for reworking, for sending across documents, this, that, and the other. So, Shobhan, let's move on to the next slide because I want to paint a different picture to all of you. So right now I spoke about how your different sources are available when it comes to your financial data. Some is getting pulled from some Google Docs, some from an ERP, some from a consolidation tool, this, that, and the other. And now let's say if I tell you that, hey, today we have a platform that is the Iris Carbon Disclosure Management Platform that will bring in all of your data from various sources under one umbrella. And within that umbrella, you can do your authoring, reviewing. In fact, you can even complete your audit management. You can even do your designing under that one platform, which is the Iris Carbon platform. And do you know what? How technology is actually changing the world of finance? It's the AI and automation that we bring in that's changing the way that you interact with your daily work. So imagine now you make one change in your ERP and it directly reflects a change in your disclosures. It's not just a dream, rather it's a reality that we work with here in Iris Carbon. So all our systems that you work with are directly interconnected to one another because of Iris Carbon. And in fact, you know what, when I say, hey, all the systems are interconnected, all the people, different people, maybe there are some people from the marketing team that work on the, let's say for an example, your very highly stylized glossy annual reports, who all could be working on it. Of course, there'll be the finance team that's going to work on it. External consultants will work on it. Your management's going to drop in the comments. Apart from that, we have the auditors who are going to be there. We're going to have the designers. We're going to have so many bunch of people working onto that one document. Everybody gets to work on the real-time updated one single source of truth, one document only. So this is a couple of things that I've told you already, and also probably the fact that, hey, this is not a dream, this is a reality because this is what we do when it comes to our Iris Carbon platform. So let's go ahead, Shobhan. All right, so then I think it becomes very important for us to understand how the Iris Carbon actually functions. So on your left-hand side, you will be able to see these data sources, which could be an ERP system, which could be your maybe data warehouses, which could be a consolidation platform, anything and everything. In fact, even your personal documents which are sitting on your computer. We link all of these documents into one unified workspace, which is the Iris Carbon Disclosure Management Platform, wherein you can see various teams, be it, like I said earlier, finance team, admin, marketing, external consultants, or your in-house legal team, design team. Everybody can work on that one single document, and within the document you can author the document. We have smart reviews and workflow set up within the platform. In fact, you can even take care of your audit management requirements within the platform. So for anything and everything that you generally go to different tools and applications for, the Iris Carbon pulls you back in and says, hey, you know what? you can come back, you have the platform ready with you, you can use the platform to do all of your activities. In fact, for XBRL tagging also, I know again IXBRL is also growing need in the market. For IXBRL tagging, generally we outsource it to external vendors. You don't have to do that because the platform has inbuilt XBRL tagging capabilities as well. Even with like Mauro and Gregorio pointed out earlier, that your last mile reporting, every activity in your last mile reporting is very important. Even designing for that matter is a very important last inch of your last mile reporting, right? Imagine you did everything right and then there were certain mistakes made by your designers. How many times of back and forth that you have to do and check every version, every word, because at the end of the day, that's the final copy of your financials that's going to go out into the market, that's going to go out to your investors, that's going to go out to the regulator, right? So all of this is controlled within the Iris Carbon Disclosure Management platform. So right from authoring, reviewing, audit management, designing, everything happens in the platform. But what does this mean? Does this mean that we are going to take all of you out of the usual working ways of working that you work in? Like a finance professional would love working in an Excel. That's when they are most comfortable in. So that was a little bit about the average time you would spend in many of your steps in financial reporting process. All right.
Okay, before heading over to the demo section, I'll quickly go on the floor. So Akanksha, thank you so much for that debrief about disclosure management. It seems like it's every finance professional's dream out there, not to navigate through thousands and thousands of files, especially during the stressful closure period, and just have one single source of truth to deal with. That's pretty fascinating, and I'm confident disclosure management, the way it is gaining in popularity across the industry, it's going to be like a mainstay for every business out there. I do see a bunch of interesting questions coming up here on the chat, and all of them most of them directed to Akanksha about the technology integration piece, because when it comes to change management, people are really cautious about how to really integrate them into the tech stack and make good use of it. So one common question that I see amongst all that have come my way is how do we integrate this into our existing tech stack without disrupting current processes and yet stay on the schedule of the filing period? Any thoughts on that?
This is quite an interesting question to whoever who's asked this. So when you want to have an Iris Carbon be a part of your tech stack, generally the implementation cycle is something that people are very worried about, because now there are so many ERPs in the market and it generally takes months to implement that ERP into the system, and people know that they require this reporting system to make their lives easier, but then they are afraid, what if it disrupts my usual operations? So two answers to it. One, our implementation cycle is very short. We take about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the complexity, depending on how your organization functions, but we take 4 to 6 weeks maximum for our implementation A, and B, none of our implementation is going to disrupt any of your business cycles because most of the work is done by us. So that's where we shine, when you come on board with Iris Carbon. And of course, a lot of our customers are going to stand back. The statement is that you're not just getting a vendor who's coming on board with you. No, you're getting a partner that's going to work with you, because we take care of the onboarding of the document. We take care of the training of the people within your organization. We take care of the implementation, and we are there with you 100% along the journey as support.
How they can help perhaps stay on schedule during the closure period?
I don't know if Matteo would like to answer, otherwise I go from my side.
Yeah, everybody. No, I mean, regarding the question of Toba, I would say that regarding the process of closing, for sure, it's very important to think about the organization and the process at the beginning in order to streamline its core. It's crucial because also it helps also large organizations, especially large organizations, to streamline the disclosure management stream and all the reporting related.
Thanks, Matteo. We would like to thank you so much for your time and attention. You have been a great audience. Please do look out for an on-demand link in your inbox soon after this session.